Welcome to the Pulse with Peter Urbina. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano, and let's get you to the pulse on everything you need to know. And we are joined, as we have been in the last few weeks, by our picks insider, and that's Jay Sinatra. Jay, what's going on, man?
I'm doing terrible.
Yeah, terrible.
And you know why.
I know why. I know exactly why, Jay, because you were all on those Houston Texans last week, and I put my money there. I was like, my boy Jay Sinatra said I got to do this.
Gave me the ball 2 weeks in a row.
You did.
What happens?
You did.
I'll tell you what happened.
Tell me what happened.
So last week after we do the show, I get out of here. We've run through the games last week. San Francisco and Minnesota was the first game we spoke about. I had no feeling on it. My big game was Houston with a short lean on Green Bay. So I get out of here. I listen to the radio. Things start going through my crazy mind. And all of a sudden, something comes through me that I like San Francisco. Out of the blue.
Out of the blue.
Out of the blue. So
it hits you.
So I get ready. I said, all right, I'm going to play, and I'm going to pack San Francisco -7 with Houston +9.5 into a two-team parlay. So San Francisco hits -7. Good. I'm excited. I'm ready to hit that next day. Right out of the gate, we're up 24-0. I'm feeling good. I'm kind of, listen, I didn't know if the Texans would hold on to win the game, but I felt good enough, plus the 9.5. I'm up 33.5-0 that I'm going to get the cover. And everything goes the wrong way.
Wrong way. What a comeback, huh, for Kansas City?
Yeah, wonderful.
And by the way,
it cost me $260.
Do you know what you didn't do, by the way?
Go ahead.
When you had this San Francisco enlightenment in your car after listening to the radio, you didn't call me and tell me to put my money on San Francisco.
Well, you would have piggybacked on the parlay with me, and you would have lost because I had a $100 parlay.
Yeah, you're
right. It pays 13-5, so I laid 100 to get 260 back. I'm through the first day with San Fran. Everything's weighing. All the weight shifted on Houston onto Sunday. I did get a little bit of cold feet. I don't like to backtrack and make excuses. You're not going to get that ever with me. I don't do that. But after Baltimore loses outright to Tennessee, I'm saying to myself, can two of these live big underdogs actually come in? So I got a little bit nervous, but, I wrote it out, and I lost.
And you lost.
Lost.
But you've had a very good postseason so far, correct?
Yeah.
4-1, I believe.
Yeah, no, it's good. But the problem is I haven't managed my money properly, to be honest with you. I mean, 4-1 wild card weekend. I like Tennessee with the points. I like Tennessee on the money line. I like the Vikings against the Saints. I did think the Saints would win that game, but the Vikings were my pick. Right. And then this week, I go, Houston's my big game, and with a short lean on Green Bay. So, I mean, my picks have been right, but my money was all leveraged onto Houston. So money mismanagement, and that's how this game is played.
Well, why don't we get to championship weekend here? Because how about those Titans? I'm not going to say remember the Titans, because everybody's
cliche,
using that,
you're right?
Come on now. Yeah. But unbelievable. Derrick Henry, of course, in the backfield. Going into Kansas City. Yeah. And they are 7-point underdogs.
Yeah.
So now you got Ryan Tannehill. Is Kansas City their 29th ranked defense in terms of stopping the run? Are they going to stack the box and leave it in Ryan Tannehill's hands? What does the line tell you about this game?
It's a good point that you bring up because, you read things and you listen to things. I would almost think that Kansas City would put 8 in the box to try to contain Henry a little bit. I mean, the thing is with, everybody's talking about Tannehill and what's Tannehill going to do if he has to win this game. And I agree with that to an extent. But let's look at a different angle. Everybody thinks Kansas City's just going to go up and down the field against this team. This team's knocked the Patriots off in Foxborough. They slowed down a high-powered, next to unstoppable Lamar Jackson and a Baltimore offense. Both of these games on the road. I think you have an indication of where I'm going on this
I
game.
think you do.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the line goes, go ahead.
But when does it stop, though? I mean,
as far as what?
In Tennessee's momentum. I mean, when do the teams figure out how to defend against these guys?
I mean, sometimes these teams, these wild card teams, these 5s and 6s, they get on rolls. We saw it with
the Giants a few years ago.
We saw it with them. We saw it with the Steelers the year they beat the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. They won road games. They knocked off a high-powered Indianapolis Colts team led by Manning that year. I mean, we saw it with the Patriots back in 2001 in their first Super Bowl that started their run the year they beat the Rams. I mean, that was the game with the Raiders in the snow and the tuck rule. Yeah. But they actually went on the road and beat the Steelers in the championship game and beat the Rams in the Super Bowl. So sometimes these, low-seeded wild card teams just get on a run.
Just get on a run.
Magic
That's
carpet.
exactly. It's a team that's hot more than the best team sometimes. You're exactly right. All right, let's go to the NFC Championship because You know, I've been wearing my cheese head, but apparently a lot of other people are wearing their cheese heads.
Yeah.
Because Green Bay goes into San Francisco as 7.5-point underdogs against a 49ers team that really showed that they were the number one team in the NFC last week against a Minnesota team that people were saying, Minnesota might go in there and upset them. What is the line telling you about this game?
Well, let me pick up a stone and throw it at you first of all,
throw it.
Mr. I like Seattle plus 4.5.
Oh!
Okay, because
well, I didn't bet on it after
no,
listening
you didn't,
to
but
you.
you did like that.
I did. And what was a 5-point game?
Yeah, you know
That was
what?
close.
As far as that game goes, you know, interestingly enough, I mean, there were some 5s out there. So, I mean, if you waited, again, timing means everything. If you waited, you could have got Seattle with a 5 number. You would have pushed the game. But predominantly it was 4s and 4.5. And if you had Seattle, you were probably on the wrong side. You were obviously on the wrong side of that. But there were 5s out there late. As far as this game goes, San Francisco was, I believe it's 7. It opened 7, went to 7.5. The money line in that game is 350 to win 100. I like the 49ers in this game.
You do?
Yeah, I know. You know, I listen to these things. I mean, you know, read the papers and all this.
I told you I'm wearing my cheese head.
You know, everybody's, you know, big with the points in this game. They think there's a narrative with Aaron Rodgers going back to the state of California. Of course, he went to University of California, plays college ball there.
He's a California boy.
They think that's going to have something to do with it. You know, he needs any extra incentive.
Exactly.
I mean, he's an all-time epic quarterback. I mean, does it matter if he's playing that game in San Francisco or North Dakota or the North Pole? Aaron Rodgers most probably is going to show up and play this game, no matter where it is.
And it really relies on Devontae Adams, I think, though. I mean, I think that is the duo that it's going to rely on for Green Bay to move on. And if you shut him down, it could be a different game. So
we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
but I mean,
absolutely.
you know, Rodgers utilizes his weapons. He spreads the ball. And he just throws dimes. So I mean, you know,
you like that?
He's outstanding.
All right, let's get to some updated futures now. 4 teams left, the final 4, baby, in the NFL. What do you got?
Well, San Francisco right now is the chalk. I mean, it was Baltimore.
That's right.
From toward the end of the season, from the start of the playoffs. They're gone.
Chalk is the favorite.
Chalk is the favorite. Okay, so San Francisco's plus 130. Okay, then you got the Kansas City Chiefs plus 140. Then you got the Packers plus 600. Then you got the Titans, who are a little bit live at plus 650. I don't think they'll win the whole thing, but I'm not going to be shocked if they win that game outright on Sunday.
On Sunday, okay. So you're going over to our friends at William Hill. You're going to bet on one game this weekend, Jay. What are you doing?
Well, you know, here's the thing with me, and again, it was the same thing as last weekend. I come on the show. I don't even make a play on the Saturday games. I get in my car, boom, something comes into my head. I like San Francisco. I didn't even say anything about that game. I didn't give a pick.
You did send me a text with your little slip there.
You're right. Well, I just, you know,
I
always do that in advance. I'm not one of these people, you know, I lose. We all lose. We all win, whatever it is. I'm not one of those people that's going to put, you know, start boasting about my wins if I don't put them out ahead of time and hold them back if I lose. I mean, who does that? That's amateur stuff. I don't, you know, we all win, we all lose. It's part of the game. What was the question again?
The question was,
go ahead.
You're placing a wager on one game this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say right now. As of now, I'm leaning Tennessee. I'm leaning San Francisco. San Francisco laying the points and Tennessee getting the points. Okay. So that's where I'm leaning now. But again, I mean, at Sunday at 2 o'clock, you know, I could be on Twitter and I could be tweeting my picks or tweeting something on some crazy line move that happens. I mean, who knows? I mean, I get cold feet. I'm a numbers guy. I don't get caught up in like, you know, thinking about players. I just don't. That's I follow numbers.
We'll definitely see next week. You'll be back here for the next 2 weeks. We're going to have some Super Bowl shows. I can't believe it's already the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Jay Sinatra, our Picks Insider, every week here on The Pulse. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Folks, when we come back, Josh Sotomayor Einstein will be in studio for our Politics with Peter B segment. You're not going to want to miss it. We will be right back.
Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of the Pulse of Peter B. Folks, don't forget to get on our YouTube page and binge watch all of our past episodes. Type in the Pulse of Peter B in your search bar and please subscribe. Also, go on our Instagram page and follow us at the Pulse with Peter B. We'll see you there.
Welcome back to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano, and this is our Politics with Peter B segment. Joining us in studio is our political analyst, Josh Sotomayor Einstein. Josh, good to see you again, my man.
It's good to see you, Peter Biancamano.
Oh, there you go. Sotomayor. Everybody likes that. Do you know that? That's like a big...
My mother's maiden name.
There you go. Exactly. Well, now you know, folks. Josh, we haven't seen you in a while. Actually, the last time we saw you, we were interviewing you regarding a position that you're running for, of course, which is Hudson County Republican Chair.
Yes.
And any updates? Anything you want to say to our viewers since then?
Well, it was a great event, and I'd just like to say, if you want to be involved in the campaign to build an actual strong, loud and proud GOP, you can give me a call, 201-926-6810. That's 201-926-6810. Or if you just want to find out about Republican events that are coming up in Hudson County, we're going to have a Lincoln dinner in the end of February in Hoboken at Lola's Tapas. So if you want to find out or you want to get involved, just give me a call and we'll have a good time.
That sounds awesome, and Lola's is a fantastic place to eat, folks. You're not going to want to miss that, and obviously for Josh as well. So, Josh, let's stick to what we normally stick to here on the show, and that's municipal issues, of course. And I couldn't believe it. Something that happened. Usually, the holiday season's very quiet when it comes to politics, but the first council meeting right in the new year, I think it was like January 2nd or something like that, the city of Hoboken just came out and said, listen, we have a $7 million budget deficit right now. That equates, and Councilman Russo...
7.5.
$7.5 million, excuse me, you're right. It looks like it goes up 100,000 every time I look at it. And Councilman Russo did ask if what it would equate to in terms of layoffs, and that's 80 layoffs. Your thoughts on this?
So, I mean, it's like you said, normally the first meeting after the new year is the pro forma swearing in of new members and re-upping members. And then there was also this bomb that was dropped essentially by the administration. And it goes back to their reckless and irresponsible spending. They said, their excuses that they said were pension contributions from municipalities into the state pension fund for government employees has gone up, healthcare costs have gone up, as well as the municipal, on the municipal level, the union contract costs have gone up. And then they also added the excuses that revenue from the court, from fines and whatnot has gone down, revenue from permit applications has gone down, and revenue from giving people tickets has gone down. And the reality is that you can't bank on these things. People don't budget in their personal lives on whether or not they win the scratch off. And our city has been banking on that because you don't know if you're going to make a lot of money from screwing people over for trying to visit, Hoboken, their friends and family in Hoboken. You don't know if more people are going to be arrested or commit some sort of petty crime and get a fine. And you don't know about these different things that are variables. But our city has been banking on the fact that these are essentially hidden taxes and hoping that they'll continue to be able to pad the budget by fining people. And that's just irresponsible. Now, if you couple that with our city's, well, not really the city, the current mayoral administration of Mayor Bala and the mayoral administration before him of Mayor Zimmer, their addiction to taking businesses or developers that they don't like to court before engaging in negotiations, and their addiction to eminent domain. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars that have been spent on wants and not on needs. This is an administration that doesn't know how to prioritize, and too much of the city council is just willing to go along for the ride because they're afraid of the administration.
What's interesting, though, is VJ, who we both know, he's actually my neighbor in town, the mayor's chief of staff. Oh, no, he's his communications director, excuse me. There was a big shift in the mayor's office. Did say that this budget shortfall was unavoidable. Do you agree with that?
Well, I mean, when you know what your fixed costs are and you know what your revenue is in general, and then you add in some variables to try to pad the number, you can always say, oh, we didn't see this coming. It's kind of an admission of their irresponsible actions to say, we didn't see this coming. They knew there was going to be new contract negotiations. They knew with Murphy that municipalities would be pressured into contributing more to the pension funds. They knew with their new plans across the city to make parking more difficult and Hoboken less friendly to cars, that their actual goal was for people to use less cars. So now they're surprised that they're making less revenue from people not using their cars as much. It seems like it's an excuse. I happen to like VJ on a personal level. I think his job is inherently to run. He's
a marketer, let's just say.
It's to run agitation propaganda for the administration side.
Market propaganda, right. Now,
so really what you have is excuse making. And you said, when you're talking about in City Hall how they shifted around the titles.
Right.
When you look at the former chief of staff and the deputy chief of staff for
two also very nice guys.
the Bala administration, they have new titles. And basically their new titles to someone that doesn't know what's going on make it seem like these are really important figures in City Hall in how it actually functions, as opposed to political appointees that exist to get out the mayor's message. And that's not the case. And some think that title change was done before this came out or around the same time in order to make it seem like they can't be cut. And the reality is if anybody has to be fired from City Hall, it should be the political operatives first.
Well, that's very interesting, and an interesting take on it. Now, also discussing your taxpayer money is at the county level, because there was some news regarding the new courthouse at the county level. I wonder if you just want to share that with the viewers here.
Well, whether it's the county level or back to the municipal level for just 1 second, is, people in City Hall in the administration are talking about, the apocalyptic, we have to fire 80 people. The reality is brass taxes, they're just going to raise everyone's taxes, and they're going to say we need to do it.
But there might still be some layoffs, unfortunately. So
yeah, for sure. Right. Most likely some part-time people.
At the bottom. Right.
It won't be the political operatives that should be the first to go. But on the county level, as you bring up, our county level government is just as irresponsible, if not more irresponsible, than our municipal government and the Bala administration. Their estimates for how much the new courthouse they want to build went up from $300 million to $590 million.
That's double.
So $10 million short of double, considering it probably has to be done with union labor and all the plethora of regulations and rules that exist in New Jersey and in Hudson County. I would not be surprised to see that eventually go north of $600 million. We do not need a $600 million courthouse. I do not even think we need a $300 million courthouse. This is about what people can do for their friends, and for their constituents, not in terms of their actual voters, but in terms of people that donate to them, and the unions that back them. Because if we want to have a municipal court, it will cost a lot less to have the county rent an office building, renovate that office building, and it won't cost us $590 million.
I have done jury duty plenty of times in our courthouse. I do think it needs updating, but then again, I've only done jury duty here in Hudson County. I haven't done it in any other county courthouse, so I don't know what we're going through there. But it's important. We have a few seconds here. It's super important we talk about the county because there is a freeholder race coming up, and that's really our county representative at that level. So, and that race, usually the primary is in June, and whoever wins the primary usually wins in November. So people should look out for that, correct?
Well, usually what you're saying is the person that usually wins the Democratic primary.
Yes.
Because we are a very blue area, which is why I'm running for Hudson County, chairman of the Hudson County Republican
There's the
Party,
plug.
because we need to have an actual opposition. When you have everything in one party, there's just corruption that abounds. And some of these people are really nice people, but there's institutional corruption that leads to $590 million for a courthouse.
Well, we're out of time, Josh. Josh Sotomayor-Einstein giving us his take, our political analyst every week here on The Pulse. Folks, join us next week for The Pulse on everything you need to know. You're not going to want to miss it. And make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms. Have a great week, everybody. Take care.
This is the Jersey Sports Report. We are here at the Mecca, the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. Matt Waymeyer alongside Bobby Blackjack. Seton Hall, St. John's, two teams going in opposite directions. But Bobby, I'm not going to count St. John's out of this, even though Seton Hall is playing some of their best basketball of the season.
No, Matt, you cannot count out St. John's. One big reason, and my key to the game, this is a classic trap game for the Seton Hall Pirates. big road win on Wednesday against Butler, number 5 in the country. Now you come back and play a kind of a local game, but, you know, it's a trap game. Who knows where their head is? They may be tired from the road. They have Providence next week, which is right behind them in the standings. So we'll see what happens. But I'm calling this a big trap game for the Pirates.
Yeah, it very well could be. And Sandro Mamu Kalashvili, ever since he went down, even though he's their second leading scorer at the time of the injury, they're playing their best basketball. Why is that?
Actually, Sandro's behind us practicing right now. Looks pretty good. You know what? The team came together for that Maryland game when both stars were out, and that kind of gave them a lot of confidence. So that's why you're seeing a team playing very well without Sandro in the lineup right now. And you know what? They're big. Our bigs are playing very well.
Yeah, Quincy McKnight has really picked up the slack, and we'll see what kind of a game he has here today as Myles Powell 7 points away from $2,000 for his career. Bobby Blackjack, Matt Waymeyer, we're going to see you in the postgame, folks. Enjoy the game.
Yes, sir.
Jersey Sports Report continues. Matt and Bobby with you in the press room because they're getting ready for the Knicks game tonight, so they kicked us out, but we do have somewhere to talk, which is good. And talk we will.
Yes, we will.
About a great ball game. 82-79. Seton Hall remains undefeated in the Big East as they take down a very game St. John squad here at their home at MSG. 43-30 at the half in favor of the Johnnies. What adjustments did the Pirates make to get back in this thing and eventually take the game?
Well, funny enough, you think you heard from Myles Powell during the presser that Coach Millard actually yelled at the team, and maybe that sparked them, maybe that woke them up a little bit.
Or scared them.
Or scared them because they came out like the Banshees in the second half, and they slowly chipped away at the lead until finally gaining control around the 6-minute mark or so, and he kind of felt at that point that the tide was turning.
And there were a few points of the game where Seton Hall would climb within 1 or 2 points. They couldn't get that go-ahead bucket. They couldn't get over the hump. They finally did. And from there, I feel like they kind of broke St. John's will a little bit, even though it came down to the final seconds. But all in all, like we said, what a ball game today.
Yeah, I believe the big guys on the inside, especially Romaro Gill, I mean, I believe he had his first double-double, 13 rebounds, 7 on the offensive boards.
He was a beast.
And I believe 10 block shots as a team. That's just going to break a team down by the end of the game because they can't shoot the way they want to.
Right, exactly. Him and Ike Obiagu in the middle were just main big presences for Seton Hall. After the game, St. John's coach Mike Anderson was asked by us about, he applauded his team's effort for 40 minutes, but we asked him where exactly the execution was lacking, particularly in the second half.
I thought from a defensive standpoint, I thought we had some lapses from that standpoint, and then I thought we got stagnant offensively. You saw when the ball moved and we got people in the lanes and we start, the big guy was blocking shots. I mean, he's a presence down there, both of those guys. So when you say the execution, that's why they didn't execute. They were blocking shots, man. Okay, so now all of a sudden now we're going up and making the big guy commit, and guess what? Now we're dropping off, and now Josh is able to get his career high. So basketball, and I don't know if some of you guys, it's if you can sit there and excel in all the whole game, you'd be a hell of a coach. You would be, but you got to make adjustments. Okay, teams figure you out. You got to make the adjustment, and I thought our guys did. So I think give those guys some credit. Their defense was better in the second half than it was the first half.
One thing, Bobby, that we learned, you can never, ever count Myles Powell out of any ball game. He looked very shaky, just wasn't himself in the first half. He ended the first half with 6 points, 1 point shy of that magical 2,000-point mark, and then he went gangbusters after halftime, 23 points in the second 20 minutes. What adjustments did he make to look like Myles Powell again?
It just seems like he waits like a lion in the safari. He waits for his moments to pounce.
Yes.
And when he does, he can't be stopped.
Yeah, exactly. And like we said, 29 points and 23 of those coming in the second half. And we asked, or you in particular, asked Myles in the postgame presser how special it was to him to not only get that 2,000-point milestone, but to do it in the world's most famous arena.
And the win.
And the win.
I mean, it's a blessing. My coaches started believing in me. My teammates believing in me to give me the ball. I mean, like I said, I'm thankful and blessed to be in the situation I am, and I'm going to keep trying to climb before the season is over.
I know you're a competitor. A punt is more. You actually won the game, too.
That's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, that's all that mattered was the W.
Myles Powell gets the lion's share of the attention, and deservedly so. He had 29 points, which was the game high. Romaro Gill, as you pointed out, a double-double, 14 points, 13 rebounds. We'd be remiss to leave out Quincy McKnight. I think, Bobby, that especially after Sandro Mamukelashvili went down, he's been the main guy to really step up and elevate his game after that injury occurred. Do you agree?
I agree. As Coach Willard mentioned, he was a very good scorer at Sacred Heart before coming here. So you know he has that in his DNA to be a top-flight scorer in the Big East. And you know what? He's going to use it when he has to help us win games.
Yeah, absolutely. And McKnight also a menacing presence on the defensive end. I asked Coach Willard after the game that despite coming off a huge game at Butler where he had 13 assists and 1 turnover, was this game with 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists his best all-around game this year.
Quincy was terrible. Quincy has been. I mean, he had 13 assists, 1 turnover in Hinkle against Kamar Baldwin. I mean, I thought last game was his best game. And again, I've gotten to the point where I kind of expect this from Quincy. He was a high level scorer coming at Sacred Heart, and we've turned him into a really good. I think we've turned him into a really good point guard who. He always has a little slow start when he has to defend guys the way he had to defend Kamar. 38 minutes of defending Kamar Baldwin and then come back and have to deal with these guys. I thought he did a really good job of just bouncing back and just staying really aggressive. And that's what I like where he's at right now, is he's being aggressive.
Bobby, I'm almost a little embarrassed to admit this is my first game as a media member here at MSG.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And what a ball game I picked. You've been here multiple times, but I think that even despite being here, on a repeated basis, it's always special to be here at MSG, right?
It's the Mecca of basketball. So whether you're a fan, a media member, a player, a coach, it's special.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. And no disrespect to the lovely Prudential Center in Newark, but even the guys on the Seton Hall side, particularly Kevin Willard and Miles Powell, they know how special it is to play in, as you said, the Mecca of basketball, the world's most famous arena. Let's hear from the two of them.
This building is a special place for us. I mean, we feel like this is our second home as well. So, I mean, the Pirates, if you know us, you know our basketball. We love coming to the Garden, love putting out good games here. So, I mean, we'll be looking forward to coming back here in the tournament.
I think that I was just saying, I grew up in this building. I mean, I was a ball boy when I was in 5th and 6th grade. I used to take the train in by myself to be in this building because my dad was an assistant here. The championship team, you had Isaiah, Kadeen, Desi, and Angel all New York City kids, New York Knicks fans. I mean, for the most of us who are local, this building is the greatest place to play a basketball game in the world. And so when you step foot in here, especially as local guys, I think it means just a little bit more at them.
Bobby, we saw a lot of things in this 3-point win for Seton Hall, but one thing that I myself had never seen, and maybe you hadn't either in all your years covering basketball, coming out of a timeout, they awarded not 1 but 2 extra points to Seton Hall based on 3-pointers, which were originally called 2s. I have never seen that before.
Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from. Whether they go back to the viewer to see what the points or where the foot was, but that's my MVP of the game because those 2 points that magically appeared on the scoreboard kind of turned the team around there, and that's when we started going to the positive side of the ledger.
Yeah, and I mean that's got to give a team a lift where you're huddling for a timeout. I believe at the time it was 52-47. Correct me if I'm wrong, but then they come out back on the floor. Now it's 52-49, and in a game that came down to 3 points, those 2 extra points were so huge. And I think it really made a difference, for both of these teams because, St. John's, they work hard to build up this 13-point lead. They're a little bit deflated, thinking their 5-point lead is a 5-point lead. It's not. It's down to 3. Seton Hall comes out. Their deficit is sliced into even more without, benefit of having to make a basket or do anything on the defensive end. It was video replay. We saw video replay get baseball players into trouble, but it really helped Seton Hall in this game. So kind of, both sides of the spectrum here, but it did some good for Seton Hall. Next game for the now 6-0 Pirates is going to be at home at the Rock against Providence, and this is a team that's won 8 straight games. They're on a roll, and I think it's just a matter of keep on keeping on, right?
Between the Butler win and now there's this win here, the Seton Hall fans are going to come to the Rock on Wednesday hungry to cheer on their team to another victory and go up 8-0, 7-0 in the conference.
8 wins in a row, looking to go to 7-0 in the Big East. It's going to be a great game for the Jersey Sports Report. I'm Matt Waymeyer. That's Bobby Blackjack. We'll see you for the next game. Go Pirates.
Go Pirates.